Good morning, Dopey. Your favorite podcast. Now able to show.
Good morning, Dopey, and welcome to the next day of Good Morning Dopey at Aaron Carr's house. This is author, unlicensed advice columnist, elite equestrian, mother, and wife, Aaron Carr. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
How are you enjoying the daily reflections now?
It's very...
Look,
I
Sam.
like it. Oh, hi, Sam. Sam's calling.
That's crazy. I'll call him back in a bit.
It's good. We just did a pretty good daily reflections.
And today is what?
May 17th.
And today, what are we doing?
And forgive.
More forgiveness.
More forgiveness.
Here,
All right,
go
let me
for
do it.
All right.
All right.
Here we go.
Under very trying conditions, I have had again and again to forgive others, also myself. Forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others.
This was like your thing
I know,
yesterday.
are just two currents in the same river.
By the way, do you mind that I'm coming over here every day to do this now?
You have to wear the same outfit every day.
I do. I just happen to be wearing the Dopey hoodie and black Knicks hat every day.
Forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others are just two currents in the same river, both hindered or shut off completely by the dam of resentment.
Damn resentment.
Once that dam is lifted, both currents can flow. The steps of AA allow me to see how resentment has built up and subsequently blocked off this flow in my life. The steps provide a way by which my resentments may, by the grace of God, as I understand
Hold on for
him.
1 sec. Have you worked the 12 steps? Sorry. Please.
Now I have to forgive Dave for asking me this question 8 gazillion times. Yes.
I'm just
if
kidding.
You don't know.
I
have
okay.
many times.
Yes.
The steps provide a way by which my resentments may, by the grace of God as I understand him, be lifted. It is as a result of this solution that I can find the necessary grace which enables me to forgive myself and others.
Grace.
So I'm just going to say this for people watching the daily reflections. I think you can get something out of this even if you're not in a 12-step program. I am no longer in a 12-step program. And there are things that I got in the foundation of my recovery from the 12 steps that I think still apply to the way that I live my life now. 100%. Resentments are a big key to unhappiness. And a lot of times that resentment is towards oneself. For me, it's usually my resentment often turned inward, not outward in my life. So, oh look, I just pulled hair off my head.
Nice.
Scary. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that this one is kind of a continuation of what we talked about yesterday with forgiveness. This is applying it sort of more directly to the steps and the way in which we sort of unravel ourselves from resentments to like reconnect to what's good.
I like that, and I also like that yesterday we didn't really talk about resentments, and I like the way they talk about like resentments blocking the flow of, what was the flow they talked about? Some flow. Forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others are two currents in the same river, both hindered or shut off completely by the dam of resentment. Once that dam is lifted, both currents can flow. Resentment fucks you up. It's that simple. Remove resentment, find forgiveness, and your river will flow as well. I feel good. Once I remove resentment, it's like it's all gravy.
You know what's challenging though?
What?
I'm gonna pose a challenge to this.
Yes.
Is thinking about there's stuff that happens that we don't have direct control over, right?
Yeah.
So there's stuff
Like getting a venue for DopeyCon 3.
like getting a venue for things happening with the Supreme Court and overturning.
Well, they haven't done it yet. It's not happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
But doesn't it really feel like America is two countries, and that country is bigger than this country? That's what I'm feeling like.
That country isn't bigger than this country. It's that we've set up our government in a way that gives the states too much freaking power.
Right, but you're talking about a path towards a fascist America.
No, it's not fascist to not have, in my opinion, there are certain things that should be codified federally across the land. And one of those things is access to abortion, which is part of healthcare.
But the fucked up thing about it is that, and I don't know the details of this well enough, but there's this huge population of people that don't think women should have the choice.
Right, but 70% of the country is pro-choice. They might not personally make that choice for themselves, but there's 70% of the country is pro-choice.
So what can we do to help this cause? Ask Aaron Carr.
Well, obviously part of it is in who we elect, but I also think I don't even know anymore. That's part of the problem, is that like, I do vote. I live in a blue state. I don't vote. I live in a blue state. I hate the idea of Roe versus Wade overturned. It's not going to, listen, the thing is that like, is it going to directly,
in New York, you're going to be able to get an abortion.
Yes, but it's not just that. Here's the thing, is that like, you may have heard like activists like Lindy West, who's written about this and talked about it a lot, is that like, they're not trying to ban abortion, they're trying to restrict who has access to it. Because I guarantee you, all those people who claim that they're pro-life have plenty of people in their coffers who've had abortions and had access to abortion. They are trying to restrict who is allowed to have abortion.
What does this have to do with forgiveness?
I find it hard. I feel resentment.
You don't forgive these people.
I'm finding it very challenging to not have resentment toward people who are trying to legislate what can be done with my body.
It seems like crazy to me that this is even a conversation at this point.
I gotta tell, I didn't mean for this to devolve into like a political discussion, but in 2016 with the people who like didn't vote or couldn't vote for Hillary or whatever, and are like, oh, it's not, like it doesn't, she's worse than Trump, blah, blah, blah. We wouldn't have Kavanaugh and Barrett, who are part of the Supreme Court, who are on this decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I understand that their reasoning is that it should be left up to the states to decide. And this is why it should really be a codified law, not a right given constitutionally. We should codify it through our legislation, but because of filibusters, it's been impossible to.
Don't you know that AA does not recognize political meanings?
Yeah, this is all because this
gender.
is where I have resentment against.
So you know what you have to do? Do you know what you do with resentment?
Pray for them.
You gotta pray for them.
I could pray for justice. I don't know. See, I'm not there. I am not at a place I have like seething resentment toward seeing
these
people,
fascists that are trying to put their agenda onto other people.
To literally in testifying, saying things like, this is like an elected official saying rape is terrible, but a woman who becomes pregnant by a rape has the opportunity to find like grace in having this child. Like, I mean, it just like, it's the insanity. It's insane to me.
Right.
So it's like
insanity.
It's, nobody, this is not, everybody has a right to do what they want with their body. And,
not according to some legislators.
Not according to some legislators. And it's also like, there's a mix of religion in there, because like in the Jewish religion, the health and well-being of the mother comes first. They don't believe that, there's not the belief that life enters at the moment of conception. So that the well-being of the mother is what is the most important thing. So really, to me, this is like imposing Christianity into, which is, part of my problem with
AA.
with AA.
Well, listen.
I mean, and listen, it's like, I'm somebody who like, I can work around the language. It's not even that. Like, I didn't have a problem. I can come up with a higher power of my own understanding. It's not that. It's just that it permeates so much.
Well, it's injustice. It's hard. It's very, very hard to find forgiveness and let the river flow and give up resentment when the injustice is so intense. But the idea isn't about justice. It's about you being free.
Of course.
And not being caught up in hell up here.
Of course.
And so you pray for them to be forgiven, not because they deserve it, but because you don't need to be in the prison of resenting.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is, and I think, so that's why I think it's interesting, like, talking about it now, is that because it's like, that's probably, I don't struggle with forgiving people, like individuals in my life. Like, I'm a very forgiving person. I think that it's very easy for me, if I have a personal relationship with somebody, to sit down and like see their side of things.
To reason it out.
Yes. It's really, challenging for me at times to forgive myself on things, but I've worked on that and come a long way. It's really hard for me when I see injustice to feel forgiveness towards people who are perpetrating that injustice.
But you're not somebody, I've known you
Mm-hmm.
not that long of a period of time, but as well as I know you, I don't find you spun out in your resentment, losing
No.
sanity, losing your ability to handle your day-to-day life.
Because another part of working steps is like because I don't have control.
And you recognize your
Over-
powerlessness.
I recognize what I don't have control over, and I have to accept that, and I focus on the things that I can do that are actionable. So
Right.
I
What you
focus
do
on,
have control over.
Right, which is why, like, you know, when we talk about being of service, like, I can't solve like this big problem here, but I can work on like a local level within my community, you know, when it comes to like harm reduction or like, you know,
Or make
just
a
what I
sandwich
do-
for your kid.
or you know, like I different volunteer things that I do in terms of like feeding you know, unhoused people, or like the way that I interact with people who are in much worse situations than myself. Those are like, that's what I go down to, like very like sort of like small actions, because those are things that those are the only things that I have control over.
There you go. Well, so there you go. So do good, do service, forgive, forget, remove the resentment, the damn, and I'm sorry that Aaron got so political in this episode of Good Morning Dopey. Stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris.
Dopey, I'm face down on the floor. Dopey, please sir, can I have some more?